So hi everybody and welcome back. This is the Unreal Engine 5 full game tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 7 for our tiny game. I hope you already researched a little bit and finished your planning phase, so you know what kind of game you want to make. In my case I did this, and now we are jumping to the next part, which is how we start. And for this purpose, let's make a short simulation. I have here again Paint, and I want to decide how we start. But first of all, let's think about how the player who want to play our game starts. So the player has our game here, okay, then he starts the game, and the first thing what he should see is perhaps the main menu. In my case, he should see the main menu, because after the main menu he can decide start new game or set options or whatever we set up there. This is the view of the player, and we have already set up almost this main menu. I mean that he is landing on this page. Remember, here in Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Mods, we have set this one. Very important, because the player will go on this map at first, where what you set here. It could be the main menu, but if you want, you can make also a trailer map, which then goes to the main menu. Important is this one. We will change this one probably to the main menu map, but right now it is set up to our base map here. Everything is fine. But we as a developer, we can't just start with the main menu. We have to set up again some parts, but this time we are learning game development parts, which are very important. And we will start with the game mode. You have to research this a little bit. I will explain it only shortly. Then you have to learn game instance, and then you will see we have to set up also load and save at start. So when the game starts, it loads the variables or save data or scores or something like that. And when the game closes, it saves all this kind of stuff. Okay, and where is this game mode? Here in our editor, here in world settings, there is the property game mode. You can see here a lot of other things as well, but you can read them, learn them a little bit if you want, but important is first of all game mode, this here. And because I have here an empty project, it is set nothing. But if you used, for example, a template, third person, first person, whatever, then here it's already a game mode set up. And the game mode here will have set this category as well. So this game mode is connected with this category as well, because it fills up here other things. But interesting is here also to see here are many important classes which we will use for our game development. The game mode, which I already mentioned, then the default pawn class, this is the character class, then the HUD class is here separate, but later this is integrated with the player controller class. So the player controller class is also, so the three here and the game mode are very important for our game development. Okay, and the other three here, the game state class, player state class, spectator class, they are interesting but not important at start. This is very interesting that every important class is here fast visible, because here we can press later on this magnifying glass after we filled this up, and then we can just open these classes which we created. Right now I have nothing here, but if you have the template, you can just click on this one. It will open up here the content drawer, and then you can double click on it and it will open up the class which you have selected here. The only very important class missing here is the game instance. And where is the game instance? Here on top again in Edit, we go to the project settings, and then in project setting again to maps and mobs. Here was our default map, and when we go down we can see here game instance, and here it's a default game instance which we are later replacing with our game instance. But I can now click on the magnified glass here. I click on it and you see here nothing because it's not really showing anything now, but we skip it. It's probably integrated from C++, but later when we create our game instance, this will work. So here one more note. Why is the game mode so important? Because the other classes which I mentioned here down, they are bound to the game mode. So when you create a game mode, then you have to assign this pawn class, HUD class, and player class, and so on. That's why we start with the game mode. So back here in our diagram, we see the player when he starts the game. He will see the main menu, which we have set up in our maps and mobs. But what we have to do so that the player can see this, we have already set up the place, the start place. Okay, check. But now we need the game mode for what? And the answer is we need the game mode at start for loading data if there is any. If there is nothing, no problem, then we load nothing. But if the player here already played the game and closed the game, then the data was saved, then we want that the game mode here is loading this data. And like I mentioned already, we want also that the game mode should save the data when the player here closed the game, so that his score is saved for the next play he wants to do. Very important note is here, the game mode is loading and saving our game to the storage. That's very important here to mention, because we have also a game instance which will not save data and load data from the storage. By the way, storage means here just this space. Compared to game instance, this will not save on disk later. So the big difference about game mode and game instance is the game mode loads and saves to disk or from disk, and the game instance make just a temporarily save and load. What does this mean? So let's make here an example. The player starts the game here. Main menu map will open at first, and now the game mode will load everything here at start so that the player can use every data. But then from here the player select, for example, go to the level 1, and this kind of data what he changed here during this part main menu from here to here, this part we are saving not in the game mode. Instead, we will save this here in game instance. So the question is now why we make this so complicated. We have already game mode. We can save every data to this space and load and save from there. And the answer is why we are not using the game mode from here to here is performance. So in other words, you can use the game mode, but it will be slower, and you don't want this during gameplay. For example, you swap here main menu to level 1 and back and forth, and then you don't want that your game feels slower because of this loading time, and that's why they use here game instance. This is much faster, and that's the a reason why we have to learn it and set it up at start as well after game mode. Okay, now we have planned a little bit what we want to do. First of all, we want create a game mode to save and load data for the main menu. Then we have to create also game instance after the game mode, and then we will see if we can go and jump to the main menu. Okay, that's enough for this video. Again, research at start the game mode because we want to create this one in the next video. And like all time, if you have any questions, write in the comment section. See you next video. Bye and good luck.